Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty crazy news going on with PlayStation games, where it seems like some of their games are now just absolutely completely dying. To the point where basically no one's playing them, the hype is all gone, and people are kind of questioning on how this was allowed, what even happened, and everything else in between. Now, I will be honest, anyone with a brain watching this video will probably sit here and be like, oh yeah, this, and this, and I'm probably going to say the exact things you guys are probably going to be expecting, but it kind of opens up a bigger dialogue too as well on if PlayStation's actually doing some of these launches right, if long-term things like PlayStation Plus on their system is actually a sustainable method or not, and as well just a lot of other various things. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, give me your thoughts and comments on everything down below, and I want to hear your thoughts because I do think this is an intriguing subject that has happened at least a few different times so far, with sometimes success and sometimes seems like, well, things are not worth it. So like I said, let's go and dive on into the video itself, and I need to go get a haircut, so feel free to yell at me for that one down below. So if you guys probably know, PlayStation actually has released quite a few different various games, and for some odd reason, the mainstay PlayStation games don't usually have the most prominent communities. Now, some games such as Helldivers, that is basically published through Sony, and like kind of working with them, is a very good example of something done right. Or maybe even say Destiny, although that was more so bought out by PlayStation from Bungie. But sometimes you've also been seeing things such as a PlayStation Plus either free game, or as well an integration to allow people with the current online subscription to have a chance to check out new games. Now, this is where some of the more intriguing things happen, because right now, we're seeing now the effects of what happened. Now, if you guys don't know, there is actually a cool game called Foam Stars. Now, I almost feel like I want to show a bit of gameplay on this one, because I'm not sure how many people have actually had a chance to see it. But basically, Foam Stars out here was a free included game for PlayStation Plus. Now, the game itself was kind of cool. I'm going to give you guys a quick little like kind of showcase on over here in case you guys just want to see some. But basically, like, the game itself was kind of like a Splatoon-ish type style, kind of also mixed with, let's go and say, like an Overwatch, where the game was cool. Like, people liked it when they had a chance to check it out. It was a colorful game, was a somewhat fleshed out game too as well, and people enjoyed it. Is also over here from IGN. But basically itself was just kind of a cool game. Like, it's cool graphics, look at the animations. It looked fun. It was like a painting game, although painting wasn't necessarily a one-to-one like how Splatoon was, but it was like cool. Like, you're like, this person's like flying across the map, they're doing like little surfboards. It seems like just a fun, nifty, maybe even good for kids, whatever it might be, game out here. And I'm a fan of this. Like, it's a cool idea. I like new games, new IPs, new multiplayer games. But the one big issue with all this you guys are seeing, even though this game was essentially given away for free through PlayStation Plus, and also had demos and people doing all these other different types of nights or whatever it might be, the game is dead. And it's also happened to other various games out there too, such as, if you guys remember that like Total Destruction All-Stars game, which is basically like a weird car racing battle game that came out right at the early ages of the PlayStation 5. Now, those games were cool. They were enjoyable. We liked them. It was a fun gaming experience for maybe about an hour. Now, this one I think has a little bit more longer legs and did also last a bit longer in general. And of course, I would probably say the devs are happy. Typically, if you sign like an Xbox Game Pass deal or a PlayStation Plus deal, they're definitely giving you money. They'll be like, hey, we'll give you a few $1 million to make sure your launch hopefully goes okay and kind of most likely get you some players. So I think most of these smaller devs that may not necessarily know if they'll have a full game or not, they kind of want to take those deals. It's basically like, hey, it costs us $5 million to make the game, we'll give you $5 million, and if you get any extra sales in terms of just people playing the game, buying the game, microtransactions, it's all just money over the bridge. And some people like to take that deal because, duh, it's basically like, hey, we can keep on making other games, or all of our hard work was not for naught. And this is cool. They had like battle passes, which might have led to the issues in this one too, but they probably would have made a little bit of money. It's on the PlayStation Store, and the game itself was cool. But like I said, the issue on over here is the game is done. This happened with other games. Now, we did also have this kind of happen with Fall Guys, so I don't want to say every single time a PlayStation Plus game is going to be a failure. I don't think that's always going to happen. But Fall Guys also had, like, online hype already, and I'm not really sure if Foam Stars was even out on PC. I actually have literally no idea. But basically, the PlayStation Plus game Foam Stars has lost nearly 95% of its player base, which also would make sense. It's a PlayStation Plus game. People get the game for free. If you get the game for free, you're not really necessarily loyal to the game. You're just checking it out, seeing if you like it, you go from there. And like, it's understandable. But some games, it makes less sense. So a game like, let's say, Pow World. that game having a massive player base drop off makes sense. Flavor of the month, you kind of run out of things to do in the game, makes sense. But this is a multiplayer game, and typically multiplayer games, at some point you want to have an active player base. Games like Fall Guys had their run, and people still, I'm sure, probably play it, although definitely not as big, but like they had their good run. Foam Stars, I feel like never had a chance to kind of go take on off. Saying Foam Stars PS Plus player count has dropped almost 95% since the game's day one launch on PS5 and PS4, and PS Plus Essential back in February of 2024. Despite receiving a strong initial burst of PlayStation Plus subscribers when those Foam Star trophies arrived, which people are definitely doing trophy hunts and all that, it seems that Foam Stars PS Plus player count has seemingly been in freefall ever since. Now, 2 months later, it seems players have all but abandoned Foam Stars for other PlayStation 5 multiplayer games, with this game having lost over 94% of the initial player base. Now, in my mind, I think that's okay. Like, it's okay. Let that a chance to check out the game. Not every game's gonna be a winner. And if I was making a game, if someone anywhere out there tried to make a game or try to like play it out and like either maybe support the battle pass or just checked it out from PS Plus, I would be ecstatic. I'd be hyped. So I'm sure the devs may not necessarily be the most happy, but looking back, I'm sure they'll be pretty proud. So basically, they can't ever reverse the plummeting PS5 player count. So it debated with, funny enough, more players in its first week than Helldivers did. Although they didn't really have a chance to maintain that, but it also kind of shows that like people did at least give it a shot. The Square Enix shooter has dropped out of the top 200 in the PlayStation chart, using gameplay data from over 3.1 million active PSN accounts. So basically, because they have a partnership with the Game Insights, they had a chance to report that the initial player drop rate began to fall very, very big after the big February 2024's monthly plus games. But I think that's okay, though. Now, in my mind, I think, like, duh. Like, you have the game pretty much for free or part of your deal. It's kind of like, what do you expect to have happen? The game is probably going to fall off, and maybe if it still has a somewhat active player base, it can survive. Like, some games do well with even 1,000, 5,000 people playing the game consistently. Now, that doesn't mean, like, it's going to be a thriving game, but let's say you're doing battle passes, you have a few hundred folks buying it at $15. Like, it adds money to the game itself. Plus, as I mentioned, it was a PlayStation Plus game, so it realistically did have some sort of marketing deal with PlayStation. So Foam Stars had seen an initially strong debut player count with other than, Sony's successful Helldivers 2. That first week high eroded quickly when the game dropped 54% of its player base in just 2 weeks. Now, 2 months after the game's launch on PS5 and PS4, they can now go and see it's dropped pretty much 95% as well. The percentage of this Foam Stars player count drop is actually a conservative estimate, as they basically tracked only the top 200 games too, and seeing that Foam Stars no longer ranks among the top 200, they instead had to use the player count basically from the 200th account itself, which was Car Extra Racing Online, which is insane. So basically, that was just like, it could be even lower. Like, it should in theory be lower too as well. So this is kind of sad because the game itself seemed cool. Like, they have a new season coming out, they're getting new content, they have new characters, they have new events, and they even had things like a DLC trophy too as well. So basically, just no one really cared, and this was meant to be a live service game. And as you guys probably know, live service games are sketchy in terms of if they'll catch off or not. Like Fortnite or PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds or even, let's say, Helldivers. That works out because people enjoy the game. They enjoy the experience, GTA, whatever. But it seems like this one is probably going to end up getting cut because you can't really be justifying hundreds of thousands of dollars in salaries and dev work and events when the player base is maybe as low as under like 2,000 people, because at a certain point you don't even know if the game's going to last long enough. You don't even want to maybe sell battle passes because what if the game dies? And it's one of these scary things. So this happened to other games as well, like that Total Destruction Derby game I mentioned before, which I can barely even remember the name of. It was a fun game to play for 30 minutes, but I only checked it out because it was a free-to-play game, which kind of seems like the big issue here. Now, I do would say all around like PlayStation games are not having any issues or problems, at least in my mind, mainly because you have other various games out there that kind of like, say a Helldivers, like they're gonna do good, they're chilling, but a game like this was also on PlayStation Plus, as I mentioned, so it's fine. Like, they had a chance, it may not come out, it may be one of those sad things that happens when the game just shuts down, but it kind of stinks because I like these experimental games. I like the gaming company and the world trying something new, and there was at least a little bit of a spark. I mean, the fact that it was even competing with Helldivers is insane as is, but sometimes games don't have the staying power. Sometimes games aren't that good, or sometimes like live service is a good idea in theory, but after that, that's pretty much about it. So, and one of the big things too as well, since the game does have a price tag, so you have to go and spend money if it's not included with PlayStation Plus or any deals with them. So you have no basically new people joining the game. So it sucks. So at the end of the day, I think the game's kind of pretty much dying over here, and it makes sense why. You have the chance to taste it, the taste wasn't the best, and you kind of move on. It's sad to see, though. So give me your thoughts and comments on all this type of stuff down below. We have the Twitter and Twitch room as well, and I appreciate y'all for watching in the first place.